Okay, so welcome to this short Zoom session on how to do testing within Laulima. We're here to look and see how to use the tests and quizzes tool in Laulima. So I'm here at my home page of Laulima, and I'll just pick a class, and this is a class that I had tests set up in a couple years ago. And you should have a test and quizzes tool down on the left-hand side. We're kind of limited time here, so I'm not going to go through how to do that, but there is a tutorial on how to set up the tool. So the tests and quizzes tool is one of two tools. There's another one called assignments and tests. I like this one a whole lot better because you can edit the test in Word completely and upload it, whereas the other one you have to use the text editor, which is very difficult and clunky to use. This one also has a text editor, but you can go around it with this word process. So we're just going to click on the tests and quizzes tool. So we're just going to click on that, and we're going to have create an assessment. So there's a couple of ways that you can create assessments in here. The way it's set up right now is you put in a title, which all assessments must have to have a title, or the tool won't go forward. So you just put something in here like practice test. And then if you're going to use the test editor that's built into Laulima, it's already clicked. But what we want to do is click on the next button down that says create using the markup tool. And the markup tool just brings in straight plain text. So you can use any word processor, any text editor, and all you're going to do is copy and paste from them. You don't bring in the file. You just select the whole file while the word processor is open and copy and paste. So we're going to hit the create button, and it says down here practice test right here, and you can write in a description if you want, and then there is this window. It tells you the different kinds of questions you can use in here. I've written a tutorial that should be up probably tomorrow or the next day that goes through and explains all those different kinds of questions that you can use. So I've got a Word document here. It's called example test, and I'll just walk you through a couple of these different kinds of ways to make test questions in Word. The first thing you want to do, you're going to have a line that has the word question on it, and I like to put that there because it tells you where the question begins. It tells you the start of each new question, and then in parentheses you put the number of points that you want this question to be worth. Do not put a number. The example shows a number. Do not put numbers on the questions. The tool, when it makes the test, will number them. And this way, you can rearrange your questions at will in your Word document, and you don't have to worry about renumbering them. So absolutely never put a number on that first line. Just leave it blank like that. Just put the word question so you know that's the start of your question. And then the 10 points. All you really need is that parentheses with 10 points in it. To start the question. But I like to put question there because that gives you definition between each one of your questions since you don't have a number there. So this is an example of a multiple choice. And the other important thing to know is if you're in a word processor, you don't want it to go into list form. Right? Don't let it do a numbered or a lettered list A, B, C, D because the A, B, C, D won't show up. And you can't put the asterisks in front of the A, B, C, D in a list, right? So you get real frustrated. So you got to kick it out of list form and just make it do this. So the easiest way to do that is just type an asterisk in front of your A, I think, and then type a B, and then hopefully you kind of fool it that it's not in it. Otherwise, you just have to knock the formatting off of it. So this is one, and the asterisk just denotes whatever the question is that is the right answer, whatever the right answer is in here. So the program looks for those asterisks and certain formatting in here to tell where the answer is. You can write as much as you want up in the top up here. And so that's just a simple multiple choice. The next one down is a little bit more complicated where you can have two right answers. So this is which of the writers below were American citizens at some point in their lives. And Bill Faulkner, Tom Elliott, so you can actually put asterisks in front of the two that are the right answers. And this will give a checkbox that you can check more than one thing for the students when they go to answer it. And then here's true, false. So the next one is an example of a fill-in-the-blank question. So you just put an asterisk in front of that answer, and you don't have an A, B, C, or D, and then it knows that becomes fill in the blank. And what it'll do is put a text box over next to there that you can type in your text answer. And then the last one is, the last one of the multiple choicey things, is one that allows you to do numerical solutions, and it allows you to give a range of answers so that the student doesn't have to have exactly precisely the answer you wrote down. So in this thing is, what is the value of the pi constant? And you have to tell them something like you're expecting them to go out to 4 places. Give them some hints what you're looking for. And so this one gives a range. So it's in the 4th place, the range. Not very much of a range, but you could give a lot more range if you wanted. So it's up to you how you set that range. And the only thing you're doing on there is, again, you start with an asterisk. It's a fill in the blank kind of question. You use these kind of curly Q parentheses. And then you use that vertical pipe symbol that's over on the right-hand side of your computer, right? That separates the 2 limits that you're willing to accept. So you can give them a lot of room in there, or you can give them narrow room in there, depending on how easy or hard the question is in there. And then the last one is short essay questions, which will open up a box. So what you do is you just put nothing down in the answer thing, and then you'll have the next question there that will indicate that this is going to actually be a short essay. And this actually will allow you to write quite long essays, like 32,000 characters worth of stuff the students can enter. I don't think that this is the appropriate tool for long essays. Short essays it's good for. If you're going to do long essays, I would use Turnitin. And have them register in Turnitin their assignment, and then do their essay there and turn it in. That way you can have Turnitin compare the essays to one another to make sure that there isn't too much commingling of ideas going across your class or exact phrases or anything like that. So Turnitin for longer writing assignments is much better than this. Now, while this says tests and quizzes, I've used it for homeworks, for reading assignments, for labs, for almost anything you can imagine. You can turn this into a way of checking. And we'll show you in a little bit how you can put links into material, to pictures, and into websites and that kind of stuff, so students can actually be looking at other sources of material. And you can write all the hints you want in there, like exactly the instructions. I want you to go to page 22 and look at figure 13 or something like that. So you can just put in stuff like that if you want reading assignments. And remember, we're not going to have any way to really proctor exams this year, right? So it's really much better to break all these things up into a bunch of smaller things and then collate that for the grade. So try and do smaller assignments that allow you to understand if the students really are grasping the concepts you want them to or not, rather than, you might give normally just one big final in the second half of the semester. I mean, that's just not going to work because it's going to be too high stakes, and that'll increase the odds that students will want to cheat on it, right? The smaller they are, and you can time these as well, and you can let them take it over again, and you can look at all the grades that they get, so you can watch how they improve or whatever as well. So, I mean, what you're really doing is you want to try and encourage students to learn, and so you can let them take it twice or something. Go through it once and then go back and read again and get better. And you can give them feedback through here. They can also bounce back and forth. You can set it that way as well. That one gets a little confusing, and sometimes students, if they don't save their work, might lose some of their answers and not know it, because you have to keep saving the test constantly when you're working on it. And if they don't save and they go back, and they might lose their questions. So here's a couple of little tags that you can put on questions that allow students allow different things. You can randomize these answers here. So if you put in this hashtag randomize down at the bottom of your answer column, what it will do on different tests is it will have the word Washington show up at different places, either B, C, or D instead of just A. So it'll allow it to go. So if students are just trying to say on question 2, I got A, what did you get, right? You can do that. Now, if they're smart enough to say the word Washington, then you won't stop them. But at least the randomizing of them will kind of, throw them off a little bit. So that's one thing you can do. The other thing you can do on these is you can put the word rationale with a hashtag in front of it, and that will open up a text box so the student can actually write what they were thinking when they chose the answers. So that gives you the ability, you have to go back and manually grade those text boxes, but that way if somebody gets something wrong, you can at least go back and look at why they chose what they chose, right? So they're free to write in a short answer in there as well. So you can see if they're thinking right and they just had a mind blip that had them choose the wrong answer. So it's a way to check multiple choice answers if you want to. So the last thing is feedback, if you want to put feedback into a question. So this will allow them to get feedback if they got the correct answer, this FBOK colon, you can tell them, yeah, they got this thing, and you can write comments in there. So you can actually just give them encouragement, or you can write something, and then on the other feedback, if you want to write something of why something's wrong, you can write in there. You can put all sorts of details in terms of if they didn't get it right, why they didn't get it right. Or you can just say, hey, try again, good try, but let's work again on it, or whatever you want to do to kind of encourage the students to go on. But it's up to you what you want to put in those feedback and if you want to take the time. It's a lot easier to do in this, right? And it won't give feedback for all the individual answers. So if you have like a B, C, D that are wrong, it's going to give the same feedback on those answers. It won't tailor it. So, okay, so we want to make the test. So the test, once you get this written out in Word, is just as easy as just hitting Edit, select all, and then you just copy it. And then we move over to La Lima, if I can hit this without changing the tags. And then you just hit and paste into the box. And so there it's there, that you don't have to do anything else. The whole test is in there. Then down here you just go to the next button, and then it shows you all the questions. So this is your last chance to check to make sure you did put the asterisks in the right place and stuff, that your answers are correct and everything. So you can go down through here and just check to make sure that you've got the right kind of question and you've got the right answer in here. And then here it's create assessment or create question pool. If you like using the text editor in tests and quizzes, you can create the pool, because the pool then requires you to assemble your test using the test editor. But here you just want to do is create an assessment. So you just push on that button. It will create it, and it'll add it to your list of tests, and we call this one practice test down here. And so it's added in here, and notice this is added in the working copies. There's also a published copies over here, and so we have to move it over there. The students can't see anything that's in working copies, so it doesn't publish it right away. It's real easy to publish it, but first we're going to just preview it. So we go down, find our test, and there's a drop-down menu right here that allows you to do a bunch of different things. One is you can go into the editor. 2, you can preview it. You can print it out. You can adjust the settings, which is when it's available to students and how it's graded and a bunch of other things in there. You can publish it. You can create a duplicate of it. You can export it out. You can delete it. So delete is an important function, preview is an important function, and settings are important really on those things. So let's go preview it just so you can see how this thing came out. So we did this, and then it just says begin assessment. And then it just shows you the questions, how the students are going to see it. They're going to see how much it's worth over to the right. It's worth 10 points. And then they're going to see these names, and they just click next to the name that's their choice, right? And then you just go, you can save it. The students should be hitting the save button every time they answer a question. So you want to kind of tell them that that's the safest thing for them to do. And then you just hit next. Why it doesn't autosave, I don't know. And then notice this one, the one with several different things, doesn't have the radio buttons. It has check boxes instead. So I can check all 3. It'll allow me to check or uncheck. The radio button one only allows you one answer. So on the ABCD one. So This one, we can do that. Go to next, and here is the true false, and again 7 points over there, and then we just click on true and answer it. What color is a violet? So there's the little text box that comes up so that you can do that, and you can do things like one word or something. Put a hint in there if you know you just want one word. Try and lead the students as much as possible so they don't type more than is necessary into that box. And then next. And then here's the value of pi, and so it puts a box over here too, so you're going to just type your number in there. So same kind of thing, those are all good, and then the last one is going to be, the last one of these standard ones, is the essay. So there's the entering the essay mode and 32,000 characters. They can bring up a little text editor in here when they're editing that allows them to format and stuff. It changes it into this, so it has a few format tools and things like that. Okay, and then we'll go on to the ones that had these guys here. The randomize doesn't show, but Washington would be now down here, right? So you can see, so it doesn't say anything down there to the students, but Washington's no longer at A, it's now at D. And then here's the one with the rationale. So you can type into the rationale what you were thinking, why I chose this person or that person. And everybody knew that T.S. Eliot was British, right? But he's not, because he was born in America and then immediately left. The true false in here. Did we have something? Oh, this was where feedback would have been, and we don't have anything set for feedback in there, so there's nothing showing right now. We have to go into settings to get the feedback to show up. Okay, so we'll go quickly through pictures. There's two other ways to do pictures besides going in the editor, and the editor, if you have more than, say, 5 questions, is extremely painful to put the pictures into. So there's 2 ways that you can do this. There are, and I have a tutorial on this that, like I said, when Chris gets out all these workshops and has a few minutes, he'll be able to look at the tutorial. Let me get this. So this is a tutorial that's adding figures and links to questions. So one way to do it, the easiest, simple way to do it, is create a PowerPoint with all your pictures in it. And just give them the PowerPoint too, so they can look at that. So that's by far the easiest one. The 2 hints with that is, notice I have a number up in the left-hand corner of my PowerPoint slide, 18, right? So there's a number. You can say that's figure 18. And no matter where you are, you can put that in your question. And I also repeat the question at the top of the slide. So the question is identical to the question that they'll see in the test to make sure that they match the right figure with the right question. So if you're doing it with a separate file, I really recommend that you have a number on each slide that's easily visible and a question on each slide that's easily visible. So the other one I have is, well, the easiest way to do it is if you have your own website, you can throw all the figures in the website and then just paste the link into there, and that'll work. But the other way you can do it is with a Google shared drive. So you can open up a shared drive, and so I'm going to assume everybody knows how to make a Google shared drive at this point. And then the only trick is sharing the actual figure. So here is the figure we were going to share. You open it up and you right-click on the figure in the Google Drive, and then this menu list, and you want to hit Share. It'll pop up this menu that says Share Band Plot, and this is all written down in instructions too, so all of it's sitting there. So the share, you have to hit Who Has Access, and it pops up another window that says Link Sharing, and then what you're going to do on the link sharing is you're going to move that little slider bar over and turn it on. And you're going to go Allow External Access. That allows people that are operating outside of hawaii.edu, right? So if your student actually is coming in from their own email or something like that, just in case, right? Mostly they're going to be in hawaii.edu because it's La Lima that they're using, but just in case it allows access. And then you just hit the copy button right there. Okay, so when you copy it, then it loads it up into your computer's memory, and then you just go over and paste it into your Word doc, right? So don't try and copy the link, hit the copy button, and when you hit the copy button, it will underline it, and then you can paste the link. And so here is that link that came out of there, and the end of the link will have the word sharing at it. And it's off this right here, but so here it is. So the end of any link that you copy out of there will say sharing. So make sure when you paste it in, it ends with the word sharing. So I have an example test in there too that we'll upload that has these things in it. And so here is one with these embedded. So a Word document with these embedded. And in the Word document, you can click on this, and then it will bring it up, and you'll be able to see the figure here like this. In Laulima, since Laulima was made in 1892, when you actually get it into Laulima, it will not have a clickable link any longer on it. Okay, so in here, what I do in these crinkled parentheses after I put the thermal image right here, and I put the link there, and then I put in these parentheses, copy and paste this link into a new browser window to see the image. Okay, so I give them instructions because it's going to come in just as a text string. It will no longer be linkable once it goes into Laulima. So you can't click on it and make it come up. You have to copy and paste it into your browser. But it works. So that's a way to get to a figure. And so there's examples of these things. I did one with this one has a animated GIF in it. And then this one links to an article and asks questions about an article that's out on the web. So you can link different things into your thing, and then you edit it all in Word, and then those upload all together. Just make sure you put instructions that the students have to know they have to copy and paste that link. So the editor for small jobs is fine. But the editor for big jobs can be really trying, right? And for me, I usually find that if I've got even if I just make a mistake in my test, I just delete the test and then go and upload it again, correct it in Word. But that's up to you. You can use the editor to correct one or two little mistakes you find. But like I said, it is kind of clunky and really kind of tiresome after a while.
Because it's not official.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
if
and
you
that's
publish it, then it will go to the grade book. But
that's the one thing we didn't do too, was select down here on this and tell it to publish it, right?